Good afternoon. It is Monday, January the 25th, and this is what we did for our review. My screen's a little fuzzy. Forgive me. I'm at home. All right, so for Einstein time, what skills do you think managers need and why? Today in class, classmates said they need social skills, leadership skills, math skills, technological skills. They need to understand the big picture of what's going on. Trying to think some other things. Analytical skills. Yeah. So managers need to know how to do and know a lot of stuff. So just be aware, if you're a manager, your brain's gonna have to be big and you're gonna have to be talented. All right, new stuff. So the kids actually today told me all pretty much the skills that managers need. They need technical skills, so they need to know how to do stuff. So if you have an employee that's absent, a cashier, the manager needs to know how to run the cashier. They need to know all the way from the conceptual skills that the CEOs, for the most part, understand, have an overall grasp of those ideas, those visions, and all the way down to, your janitors. You've got to know pretty much every single person's job, almost like a jack of all trades. Of course, they have to know how to communicate with people and build strong relationships, because most businesses today are run on teamwork. And then they must absolutely know and understand the big picture. So when you understand the big picture, let's take our school with the COVID situation. Mr. Colvin has got to understand the dynamics. He's going to understand how every single wheel turns so that we can come to school successfully. There has to be a layout, there has to be a schedule, there has to be a screening process. So understanding how your organization works as the big picture and overseer is so important as a manager. You have to be creative. You have to know how your company affects its community, how the economy impacts your business. So you just have to understand a lot of different things if you're in management. Our first video is just a short video on Steve Jobs, which is now passed away, but he was the original entrepreneur of Apple. I love this video because it's so true. Just with discovering your destiny and your passion. So the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Do not settle.
I was lucky. I found what I love to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I just turned 30. And then I got fired. How can you get fired from a company you started? What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I felt that I'd let the previous generation of entrepreneurs down. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did.
We are going to make it or break it based on whether we can provide products to higher education and services and relationships to higher education that no one else provides. And I think we ought to spend 100% of our time thinking about that. And if we can't do that, then we ought to go broke.
And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life. And the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. So keep looking, don't settle.
I love that video. So inspirational. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So find out what you love, what you're passionate about, and do it every day. So good. All right, levels of management. Now you get 3 main levels of management: top, middle, and first line. Top, of course, these are your CEOs. So they have the conceptual skills. They see the big picture of where they want to lead their company in the future. Mid-level managers, these are the folks that are, they're called mid-managers because they're stuck in the middle. So they have to communicate top levels goals to the everyday employee, but also be able to help and train and assist the lower level employees. So mid-level managers have to, are the most gifted of all of your employees because they work with the most people and they have to have the best communication skills. And then you have your first line, your supervisors. These are the people that oversee the day-to-day operations. So like if you've got an assistant manager versus a manager, the manager would be mid-level, your shift manager would be your supervisor. And then top level, of course, would be the folks that are running the company. So with your executives, top level management, these are your CEOs, your presidents, your chief financial officers, your board of directors, your chief operational officers. These people have to have conceptual skills. If you see the pie chart over here on the left, you see that these top managers, most of their skills are just seeing the big picture. And then the next biggest section is working with people with the interpersonal skills. The top level managers, they don't do the jobs themselves unless you're self-employed, unless you're running your own small business and you and maybe a partner are the business. Okay, but we're talking about these companies that have 500, 1,000, 10,000 employees. Those top level managers, they don't do the work themselves. They don't do the technical stuff. They have the conceptual ideas. They're responsible for the overall direction of the business. Everything rises and falls on the shoulders of leadership. So if a business goes under, it's the leadership's fault. Sorry, it's just the way it is. They are the highest paid though. So they do get paid for their work. And then they spend a lot of time in meetings, planning, and they are the visionaries. Just as an example, Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. Here's just in action, the CEO and board of directors decide to open a new Walmart in Zebulon because they feel the population can support the new facility. All right, mid-level managers. You can see with their skills, they have to have all of them. Interpersonal, conceptual, and technical. Remember, your managers, your mid-level managers, these are the ones that are the jack of all trades. They're responsible for taking the CEO and the board of directors, taking their goals and putting them into action. They're the link between that CEO, that board, and the regular day-to-day employees. And they spend most of their time planning on how are we going to reach these goals. So they're actually the action folks. They're the hands and the feet and the mouths and the eyes of the organization. You've got general managers, GMs, project managers, and senior managers. Before we watch our video, I want to make sure that I go to these next couple of slides. So this was just an example. The district manager for Publix, you can see him right here. He's got a buddy with him. talking to the general managers at Publix, explaining to them, okay, what's going on over here at the corporate office? What do we need done at your location in Florida? In action with that Walmart that's coming in Zebulon. So if you were a mid-level management, you would plan how to find the best suit for the new Walmart. How are you going to recruit qualified people? How are you going to go through the interview process? How are you going to attract customers to your Walmart? You and the other middle managers are the ones that have to figure out how to make that vision of top management be successful and be implemented in Zebulon. And for the video for mid-level management, I love this guy too. He's great.
Middle management is the hardest job in any organization. Because when you're junior, your only job is really to do your job. That's it. And you get trained how to do your job. I mean, you all have to be licensed and go to school and learn how to do the job of being an accountant. And if you're really good at it, you eventually get promoted. And you eventually get promoted to a position where you're now responsible for the people who do the job you used to do. But the problem is they don't give us any training how to do that. You know, and senior people are thinking about entirely different things. They're thinking about the firm, thinking about strategy. And the problem is, so you have this middle group that's in this sort of weird mix where they have to be strategic, but not majority strategic. And they have to be tactical, but they're not majority tactical. And they have to translate what's going up here to down there and down here to up here. And most things break in the middle, because I'll meet firms where the leadership's amazing and they're visionary and they care about people and they want to do the right thing. And then I go down to the front line and they're like, yeah, this place is the worst. And so I'm like, what happened between here and there? And it's the middle. Most things break in the middle. And so I think there are two factors. One is we don't train people how to lead, right? So as I said before, when we're junior, we have to know what to do. We just do our jobs, we have to be good at it. And as we become leaders in this middle management, we're now transitioning to this job. We're now responsible for the people who do the job we used to do, but nobody is teaching us listening. Nobody's teaching us communication skills. Nobody's teaching us effective confrontation. Nobody's teaching us how to give and receive feedback. Nobody's actually teaching us leadership. So this is why we get managers and not leaders. And like, you would never ask somebody to do anything in accounting without showing them how to do it, ever. Bad idea, right? So why on earth do we think that we can just promote someone to a leadership position and expect that they know what to do without showing them how to do it? So that's problem number one, is the total vacuum in some cases, or just really minimal amounts of leadership training. And it needs to be robust. The other problem that I come across very often is I get some really wonderful self-taught leaders in middle management. They're reading books, they're going to conferences themselves, they're watching TED Talks. I mean, they're students of leadership, they have mentors. I mean, they're really making a go of it, and they complain that the senior management, all they care about is the quarterly earnings. And so the problem we have there is they're trying so hard to do the right thing, but management really doesn't care. So that's the opposite, right? And in those cases, I generally recommend that the right thing to do, I mean, quitting is always an option, but that's not necessarily the best option or the first option. But I always recommend to be the leader you wish you had, which is, I get the question, it is one of the, if not the most common question I get, which is, what do I do when I'm trying to do the right thing and my boss or my boss's boss or my boss's boss's boss just don't get it, you know? All they care about is money before people. And the answer is you can't control what you can't control. So worry about the people around you. Worry about the people to the sides of you, a level below you, even a level above you, and you be the leader you wish you had. And what you start to find in those pockets is these magical little diamonds in the rough appear.
Okay, so just remember, if you're going to run your own business, if you have an employee that you want to promote to management, or if you grow to the point where you're actually hiring managers, train them. Teach them what to do. Don't just hire them and expect that they know what to do. No, teach them those leadership skills, communication, how to listen to feedback, how to delegate. It's a totally different set of skills than just coming to work and doing your job. So just train those middle managers. And that was it for today. Just make sure you go into Canvas, do your exit ticket for January the 25th. And we will finish up presentations tomorrow, January the 26th. We will vote. And I've got a good feeling who's going to get the $50 cash, but we will see. It is up to you.